world has not been this unsettled in decades, and the future of energy is equally uncertain. How fast will renewables and electric vehicles spread? What is the future of fossil fuels? How will new energy technologies impact geopolitics? Join the world's energy leaders and set the agenda at the Atlantic Council Global Energy Forum. Kick off Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week with what's powering the future. To join the conversation, visit acenergyforum.org.
Please welcome to the stage Atlantic Council President and CEO Frederick Kemp. الرجاء الترحيب بالرئيس والمدير التنفيذي.
Please welcome the CEO of the Atlantic Council, Frederick Kemp.
I've ever come to the stage after. Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, what an immense pleasure it is to welcome you to the second Annual Atlantic Council Global Energy Forum. For those of you who joined us last year, welcome back. For those joining us for the first time, we hope you find it valuable and return for years to come. It's fitting that we gather here in Abu Dhabi, where the bar for energy foresight and innovation and strategic planning has been set so high. From a world leader in oil and gas production, to a trendsetter in strategic planning and diversification, to a pioneer with the development of Masdar, the world's most sustainable city, the UAE is an energy leader and on the forefront of energy trends. It's our great honor to hold this forum under the patronage of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and Deputy Supreme Commander of the United Arab Emirates Armed Forces. This event also would not be possible without the tremendous support of our key presenting partners. Minister Sohail Al-Mazroui of the UAE Ministry of Energy and Industry, Dr. Sultan Al-Jaber, UAE Minister of State and CEO of ADNOC, and Khaldoun Al-Mubarak, CEO of Mubadala Investment Company. Please join me in a round of applause for our partners. Thank you for your partnership and your commitment to continuing to develop this forum as the key event at the beginning of each year to set the global energy calendar, and I think it's quickly becoming that sort of event. We're also extremely grateful to the forum's platinum co-chairs, Majid Jafar, CEO of Crescent Petroleum, Carl Hopkins, Global Chief Security Officer and partner at Dentons, and Peter Baumgartner, CEO of Etihad Airways, our official carrier. And it was a really good flight over as well, Peter. So thank you to these gentlemen. Finally, a special thanks to our international media partner, CNN, represented by Becky Anderson and John Defterios, and our Arabic language media partner, Sky News Arabia, for their magnificent support. Abu Dhabi has established itself as one of the major energy capitals of the world, in great part due to a focus on innovation, collaboration, and conversations like these. And with Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, it has cemented its role as the focal point for the future of energy. It is a tremendous honor to open ADSW, the largest gathering on energy and sustainability in the Middle East and probably the world. And in kicking off ADSW and the annual Global Energy Calendar, we have two primary goals, and perhaps a third. The first goal is to convene the world's energy leaders to take stock of the challenges we face in the year ahead, to identify opportunities, and to set the agenda for a year of cooperation and progress. Number two, we aim to collectively assess and develop responses to the changing geopolitics of the energy transition. You see, we're an organization that doesn't just convene. We also do the hard work and the writing and the analysis to figure out where we ought to be going next. And then finally, this is also a wonderful way to shine a light on the unique success of the UAE. In my view, this is the best place in the world, and perhaps also the best time to have this energy conversation. Best place in the world because I'm not sure there is another place that is so cutting edge, both in terms of its production of fossil fuels and looking forward to the changes of the energy transition and the cutting edge of renewables. In terms of timing, this is the year of Zayed, marking 100 years since the birth of Sheikh Zayed, the founding father who united the Emirates and took the nation to new heights of progress and prosperity. It's an opportune moment to reflect on the pioneering role he played in the nation and how the UAE is taking his important legacy into the future. This energy transition that we talk about, highlighted over the course of Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, is driven by the likes of the UAE's own Masdar, which just a few months ago set another record for providing solar power at a remarkable 1.79 cents per kilowatt hour. Despite that remarkable advance and many others, the future energy mix remains uncertain and will be driven as much by the ingenuity of scientists and engineers as it will by policy choices, geopolitics, markets, and changing consumer preferences. That's why we bring experts in all these areas to the Global Energy Forum, engineers, scientists, policy experts, politicians, to compare notes and chart the future. Changes in the energy landscape will bring geopolitical friction for sure, but can equally serve as the basis for partnership and deeper partnership. We've already seen increasing electrification and how it has been accompanied by increasing interconnection between markets and regions. The Gulf Cooperation Council Interconnection Authority is one such example. Additionally, new leaders have emerged on both the supply side and the demand side, shaping an energy landscape that no one could have predicted even 10 years ago. Indeed, the potential for increased cooperation was underscored by U.S. Secretary of Energy Rick Perry's visit to the UAE just last month to participate in the strategic energy dialogue between our two countries. We're delighted to have the Department of Energy's Deputy Secretary, Dan Brouillette, here today and then also to speak tomorrow morning. Thanks so much for being with us, Dan. The transformation in energy is also part of a larger narrative of extraordinary global change. We talk a lot at the Atlantic Council about the world being at an inflection point, and indeed that is the case in the energy world. But also in the geopolitical world, we face issues ranging from the rise of populism, revanchist Russia, a China that's expanding its economic influence and remit, to the rise and fall of ISIS, to regional power struggles here in the Middle East. We heard a lot about changes today in Saudi Arabia, positive changes in Saudi Arabia, and the protests across Iran of a region that's in a certain degree of ferment. The Atlantic Council's mission is to work together with allies and partners to secure the future. We see our most crucial role in helping to adapt, revitalize, and defend the international rules-based order for the 21st century. And there are few more important partners in this endeavor than the UAE in the Gulf. Today and tomorrow, this is what we are here to do. Work together with our allies and partners to brainstorm, debate, and discuss how we can secure our collective future. Over the next day and a half, we will discuss the geopolitics of energy and the energy transition, examine finance and governance questions of the changing energy mix, and deep dive into the implications of the electrification of everything. We'll also focus on the important topic of women in the energy sector and how the sector can drive increasing female participation in the workplace in the Gulf. We're hugely enthusiastic that this is a priority for the UAE and thankful that RBC Capital Markets and Halima Croft are directly supporting work on that topic. And I also want to salute our own Bina Hussein, who's written an excellent paper on this that I recommend to all of you. We hope to engage you, leading policymakers, business leaders, and experts in a productive conversation on these topics and much more. You are the ones shaping the energy future, and we hope you will do that with us this week, over the course of 2018, and for years to come. This is a community that we want to work with going forward for some time. And now I'm honored to introduce our chairman and my good friend, General Jim Jones, who will formally open the forum. General Jones graciously answered the call of the Atlantic Council Board of Directors following the departure of Governor John Huntsman as our chair, who you all met last year, who has now gone to Moscow to serve as U.S. Ambassador. General Jones previously served as chairman of the Atlantic Council from 2007 to 2009, before assuming the post of National Security Advisor to President Barack Obama. From 2003 to 2006, he served as Supreme Allied Commander Europe, and prior to that as Commandant of the United States Marine Corps. He also continues to serve as chairman of the Atlantic Council's Scowcroft Center for Strategy and Security. General Jones, thank you for all that you've done and continue to do for the Atlantic Council and for the world. We are lucky to have you on our team and to have you here with us today. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Fred, for those very kind remarks, and it is a great pleasure to be back here and to welcome you as the chairman of the board of the Global Energy Forum, our second year back in Abu Dhabi. I'd like to reiterate Fred's words of thanks to our partners at the UAE Ministry of Energy and Industry, ADNOC, Mubadala, and Masdar. Thank you so much for your gracious hospitality in this beautiful city. I'm also grateful to the entire board and, of course, to our leader, Fred Kemp, for their vote of confidence in providing me with the honor to once again step in as chair following Governor Huntsman's call to service in Moscow. As such, I'd like to extend a special welcome to my fellow board directors and International Advisory Board members who are with us here in Abu Dhabi. It's above all the engagement and support of our extraordinary board and the International Advisory Board that has facilitated the Council's tremendous and very rapid growth and global expansion. I would ask the members that I introduce to please stand as I read their names so we can salute you for your leadership. Matthew Bernstein, Fatih Birol, Ahmed Sharai, Ankit Desai, Gianni Di Giovanni, Paula Dobriansky, Mehmet Gunal, Muratan Gunal, Amos Hochstein, Carl Hopkins, Majid Jafar, Zalmay Khalizad, Franco Nuskesi, the owner of the best Italian restaurant in Abu Dhabi. That's a free meal next time. Ana Palacio, former Foreign Minister of Spain, Carlos Pascual, Dan Poneman, and former Undersecretary and former Congresswoman Ellen Tauscher. Thank you so much for being here. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and friends, thank you all for being here today. Last year, we met here in Abu Dhabi for the first time to discuss and indeed set the energy agenda for 2017. 1 year later, and many changes later, the need and the imperative for this forum has become even more apparent. As a former National Security Advisor and former NATO Supreme Allied Commander, a former member of the United States Joint Chiefs of Staff, my area of expertise is really about peace and security. The role energy plays in ensuring stability and prosperity has always been very clear to me, even more so in this 21st century. The reverse is also true, that peace and security are essential contributors to functioning energy markets. In a world where the have nations who have energy and the have-not nations who need energy, it seems to me that we have not only an economic imperative, but a moral imperative to make sure that in order to really achieve peace in our time, that energy is something that is everybody's right, and those who have it should share it, and those who don't should figure out ways that they can satisfy the legitimate needs of their people. So now more than ever, energy leaders must be prepared to respond to the rapidly changing geopolitical environment. Even more importantly, our leaders around the world need to understand and be ready to respond to the dramatic changes in the world of energy. From the transition to a low-carbon energy future to falling renewable costs, to electrification of everything and the digital revolution, technology in the world is changing at a rapid and unprecedented pace. With these shifts, we've seen an emergence in the new geoeconomic and geopolitical dynamics. For people in jobs like I used to have, these changes present a host of new opportunities, as well as a myriad number of risks. So in convening this forum, we hope to provide a platform to discuss and forge solutions to some of these challenges. Over the next 2 days, our sessions, each geared towards our overall theme of the geopolitics of energy transformation, will feature leading policymakers and business leaders to discuss effective ways to respond to these shifts that really impact us all. So I hope you enjoy the forum and that you will take full advantage of the dynamic discussions and high-level group of participants that we've convened here in Abu Dhabi. And without further ado, I'd like to turn the stage over to His Excellency, Dr. Sultan Ahmed Al Jaber, Minister of State for the United Arab Emirates and Chief Executive Officer of the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. Dr. Sultan, thank you very much for welcoming us back to your beautiful country in this great city. The stage is yours.
In the name of Allah, peace be upon you all.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it indeed gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the second Atlantic Council Global Energy Forum. In just 2 years, this forum has served to identify critical trends and gather key stakeholders, as well as establish itself as an important meeting place for the global energy dialogue. Today, as we convene this year's forum, we are encouraged by a global economy that is the healthiest it has been in the last decade. This economic growth will continue to drive energy consumption, which will expand by at least 25% by 2040 to a level no single source can meet. So as we diversify the energy mix, hydrocarbons will continue to play a vital role in meeting the global energy demand. In fact, by the end of this year, global demand for oil alone is set to break the threshold of 100 million barrels per day. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a fast evolving energy landscape has pushed us all in our industry to form new strategies, rethink business models, and basically up our game. At the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company in ADNOC, we have begun a significant holistic transformation aimed at pivoting toward new, smart growth, unlocking and maximizing value and optimizing our capital structure. In short, we are redefining the rule book for how an NOC should operate. Just last month, we successfully delivered the IPO of ADNOC Distribution, the largest public offering in Abu Dhabi in a decade. This IPO offers both UAE and international investors an unprecedented opportunity to invest alongside ADNOC in one of the region's leading consumer brands. And while ADNOC at the holding company level will remain wholly owned by the Abu Dhabi government, we will continue to diversify our partnership base, strengthen our profitability, adapt to new realities, and expand our market access. As our business responds to growth, particularly in non-OECD countries, we plan to increase crude refining capacity by at least 60% and more than triple our petrochemical production. This proposed expansion will create the single largest integrated refining and chemical site in the world here in the UAE, in Ruwais in particular. Once complete, we will convert almost 20% of our crude to chemicals, diversifying our range of higher value products and providing a natural hedge to oil price movements. And while market dynamics may shift, our basic mission has not changed. Ensuring security of supply will remain our #1 priority. And in this context, anything that can make an unpredictable world more predictable is a plus. In fact, is a big plus. Fortunately, we are entering an era where technology has the potential to keep us ahead of the curve. Artificial intelligence has already begun to transform industries as diverse as manufacturing, telecom, retail, and finance. Now it is being applied to the energy sector, where the possible benefits include minimizing disruptions, balancing supply and demand, and optimizing costs, and hopefully enhancing profits. At ADNOC, as part of our ongoing transformation, we are exploring how artificial intelligence could help enhance efficiency, make us more agile, and drive our performance to a more profitable business. We are leveraging the power of big data as a commodity of limitless value to enhance visibility into our operations both below and above ground. Ladies and gentlemen, as the pace of innovation accelerates, we must be more agile, resilient, more flexible, nimble, and responsive than ever before. Most importantly, we must engage with non-traditional partners beyond our industry limits to deliver creative solutions and to meet the world's growing energy needs. This forum, the Atlantic Council Global Energy Forum, is an ideal destination. In fact, it is a platform for forging those partnerships. Over the course of the next 2 days, I very much look forward to an informative and productive meeting where we can exchange ideas and collectively shape our common energy future. Thank you very much.
Please welcome to the stage Minister of Energy of the United Arab Emirates, سهيل محمد فرج المزروعي. الرجاء الترحيب بوزير الطاقة لدولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة سهيل محمد فرج المزروعي.
Peace be with all of you.
Good afternoon and welcome. It gives me great pleasure to see that the number is increasing, so thank you. I would like first to thank the Atlantic Council and the increased number of boards members who have joined us this year in Abu Dhabi. Welcome to one of the region's most attractive, complementing conference. Abu Dhabi, this comes with a plan. I mean, we set a plan for Abu Dhabi to become the capital of the energy world in the region. And that comes for a reason. And the reason is we are diversified, as Fred said, even though we are one of the largest reserve holders of hydrocarbon, but we think of the future. We were the first to consider renewable energy and to invest in it. And we are one of the first nations who have come up with a strategy around energy that is diversified and long-term. So our UAE Energy Strategy 2050 calls for a 50% clean forms of energy by 2050 and a 50% fossil-based. And Dr. Sultan was right. The world is in need for hydrocarbon as it in need for renewable and the new forms of energy. So we're not at a competition. We are actually at a race to ensure that the available requirements and demand is met. But we need to do the business differently. We need to watch the environmental impact, and all of us, all of the industries here in UAE are looking at maximizing efficiencies, reducing emissions, and I would like to assure you that our strategy calls for 70% reduction of CO2 versus do nothing. And that goal should not be subsidized. That goal of reducing CO2 emission is a plus for us. We will make money reducing the emissions because we will burn, for example, in the electricity sector, less gas, which means we can afford to pay the real price for gas, and that will make the environment clean, but at the same time, we are moving as a nation toward the fair prices of energy. That balance is what makes UAE leading the region toward a balanced and diversified portfolio where energy and energy-related industries and services going all to make money. And once we do that, we are intended to bring those investments like ADNOC and the huge transformation done, returned part of that business once we managed to liberate the prices. The distribution business made money, and ADNOC give back 10% of that to the market. And as Dr. Sultan mentioned, it's one of the most successful stories, and more of successful stories are ahead of Dr. Sultan and his team to deliver. But we are also looking at widening that to the other sources of energy. This dialogue is happening at different platforms. We have ADIPEC, we have the Atlantic Council, and we have the Sustainability Week, and we have other forums to discuss this. We need to look at it at the totality. And I'm so glad of the diversity of subjects. And thanks, Fred and the team, for the diversity of the subjects that we are going to cover for the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, on the need and the importance of all forms of energy, nuclear, oil and gas, renewable, and others. It gives me great pleasure as well to welcome most of you who are attending the Sustainability Week to stay with us and see an exceptional rest of the week where the leaders of the world and the renewable energy are going to come discuss. And since we started Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, we have seen great transformation in the renewable energy, and we've been proudly breaking the record of delivering the cheapest forms of PV solar in the world. And I would like to thank Masdar and whoever bid in Abu Dhabi and outside Abu Dhabi to deliver that to the world. Thank you very much, and we look forward to the rest of the program. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage Director General of the International Renewable Energy Agency, Adnan Amin. الرجاء الترحيب بمدير عام الوكالة الدولية للطاقة المتجددة عدنان أمين.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Abu Dhabi. And let me take this opportunity to thank General Jones and Fred Kemp for this very kind invitation to address you at the opening session of this Atlantic Council. I really want to congratulate you for putting together another rich and engaging program that addresses many of the most pressing issues in the global energy agenda. And it shows once more that the Atlantic Council is on the cutting edge of energy policy debate worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, I am leading the International Renewable Energy Agency. Often we have a slightly different perspective than some of you in this room. We are convinced, with our 160 member countries, that we have entered an age of energy transformation. I know Fred mentioned transition earlier in his remarks, but I think we have gone beyond transition into a transformative moment in the way the world of energy is changing, and that it is underpinned by renewables and is fundamentally reshaping the energy world that we know today. Countries from across the world are realizing the abundant opportunities and rapidly stepping up renewable energy deployment to meet growing energy demand, boost economic growth, and achieve climate objectives at the same time. Last year, a record 161 gigawatts of new renewable energy capacity was added to the global energy mix, with investments exceeding $270 billion US. Taking advantage of the opportunities of this new energy age requires bold leadership, high ambition, and strategic and long-term vision. And even more importantly, the ability to implement such a vision which makes it a reality. And in this regard, I'd like to pay tribute to the UAE's leadership, which has set a powerful example for the world. By establishing IRENA's headquarters here over 6 years ago, which was not a simple thing to explain to people, to have the headquarters of the Renewable Energy Agency in an oil-producing country, it signaled that the drive to scale up renewables is being undertaken truly globally and even in oil-producing economies. And the UAE has continued to showcase the immense possibilities of a prosperous and sustainable energy future. Last January, it announced that it would cut carbon emissions by 70%, as Suhail mentioned, and have 44% of power generation from renewables by 2050. Now, those of you who have lived in Abu Dhabi for a while understand how significant this commitment is as a departure from the energy patterns of the past. Recently here, also in Abu Dhabi, the contract was signed for a solar PV park of 1.17 gigawatts at the then record price of $2.42 US per kilowatt hour. Remarkable numbers. And late last year, we learned that the Dubai Electricity and Water Authority, DEWA, had selected Aqua Power of Saudi Arabia and Shanghai Power to build a 700 megawatt concentrated solar power at the Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum solar complex, delivering energy at 7.3 US per kilowatt hour with storage. Again, remarkable numbers. At the same time, the UAE is also at the forefront on the critical issue of end-use sector electrification, which is the next step in energy transformation, especially on transport. Tesla has opened its first showroom in Dubai and has announced the installation of a network of ultra-fast charging stations across the UAE. The Masdar Institute, on the other hand, hosts a consortium of Boeing, Etihad, and Honeywell to research on sustainable aviation biofuels from saltwater plants, which is delivering results in terms of the long-term viability of biofuel for aviation. What the UAE is showing us is that leadership on renewables and conventional energy is not mutually exclusive. And this is precisely what makes the UAE a perfect place for a global energy dialogue that brings together government and business leaders at the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week. I'd like to pay tribute to my friend Suhail Al-Mazroui and to Dr. Sultan Al-Jaber, who I have worked with for many years, who have both been at the forefront of these changes. The UAE's transformative vision for the future is not limited to just energy. It's about an ambitious project to diversify the UAE's economy, reimagining the country's growth strategy, and positioning itself on the world stage as a hub for cooperation and dialogue. An economic transformation is at the heart of energy transformation, which is what is being proved every day here in the UAE. It is no surprise, therefore, that the UAE, as Dr. Sultan has mentioned, has gone the next step, which is appointing a young minister for artificial intelligence, big data, management of big data and the systems of the future, which will be crucial to how the global energy systems in the future are going to develop. I had great pleasure to spend some time with him. It's a very intimidating young man because he talks in a language that I barely understand, but it sounds very convincing. All of this, of course, follows the vision of the late Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, and I think it is very relevant and timely to recall this during the year of Zayed, which the UAE is celebrating in 2018. Sheikh Zayed put the UAE on the path of human and sustainable development, which has further blossomed thanks to the current leadership of the country. This age of energy transformation will have a significant impact on the geopolitical landscape, fostering greater interdependence and cooperation among countries. And I'm happy to see that the geopolitics of energy is featured prominently on the agenda of this Global Energy Forum. IRENA will also be discussing this very topic at its 8th Assembly session, which starts tomorrow. And we will be launching on Sunday a global commission on the geopolitics of energy transformation that will seek to improve our understanding of these issues through rigorous evidence-based analysis in order to better prepare policymakers for these developments. I look forward to today's deliberations and to continue working with all of you on the challenges ahead and to seize the vast opportunities that the energy transformation brings to all of us. Thank you very much.